What's going on, guys? It is MurderInc here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to be talking about the revival of an old strat, Cardinal, kind of a 2.0, go second in the arena and completely destroy the enemy team. This is a really cool team. I first covered this and I believe Infinite, one of my clan members, or Farting Cows came up with this. And then recently we had an awesome video by Mac-chan from the Immortal Horde, so huge shout out to him. I'm definitely doing this video after he could do with it. I think it's definitely appropriate to readdress a composition like this because of Lydia the Death Siren. He found out a really cool way to kind of get around Lydia's block revive while still having an awesome strategy like the Cardinal strategy. So if you guys haven't already, head on over to Mac-chan's channel, throw him a subscription. He is an awesome YouTuber. Really top tier content if you're interested in Platinum Arena or top arena pushing. He's definitely a channel you should look out for. So today what we're going to be talking about are a few things. We are going to be talking about the Cardinal strategy. However, we're going to go for an epic that we don't normally see or talk about as far as the arena goes. So if you have a list of all of the champions who do the most AoE damage, our friend Kaitis is actually going to come out on top. So for those of you who don't know, Kaitis is very unique. He has this A3 that only activates once the champions lost 50% of their HP, which you can kind of see how it really works into the Cardinal strategy overall. However, this ability, Bleeding Wounds, attacks all enemies 2 times. Damage increases according to the amount of HP this champion has lost. So if you calculate all of the multipliers for this champion, attack based and that HP lost, he is the #1 AoE damage dealer in the game. Number 2 would be Robar, which I have covered in the past, and number 3 would be the conditional damage of Trunda. So that just goes to show you how much damage this guy can actually do. So what are going to be the 4 champions we're going to be using for this? The 4 are going to be Cardinal, Kaitis, brakus, which you'll probably start to understand why brakus is going to be so unique towards Lydia, offering that self-revive, making sure she uses that passive she has where she blocks the revive. That then allows Cardinal to fully revive the team, and she doesn't have to worry about any penalty from a Lydia. And finally, the next champion can be kind of a few things. If you're facing a shield team, you can definitely run someone like a Masteries to strip and apply that defense down. However, you're going to see shortly that Kaitis does enough damage where he doesn't really care if you have a defense down or not. You can also use someone interesting that I've been playing around with, which is Warchief. Now, I've used Warchief in the past. His reflect damage is second to none in the game. He reflects back 60% of the damage. I did try something kind of fun where I used 2 Warchiefs with an HP aura, and people were killing themselves against these champions since they have so much health, and all they're really meant to do is absorb that damage. We had Rotos killing themselves, we have Hegemon killing themselves, so that was a lot of fun. But we're going to stick with the topic at hand, which is going to be this new Cardinal 2.0 strategy. Alright, so this is going to be the team comp. Now, this all is very reliant on Hegemon actually killing the other champions. I do have my champions geared a bit well, but there is some type of nuance to this where you can actually survive even if you don't get killed. So let's head into this battle and see how we do. Alright, so the Hegemon's going to go first. Let's see if we get any crits. A few crits, although not really enough to do anything. We're not going to heal just yet. But the goal here is for everyone to die. Unfortunately, Masteries didn't die, which is definitely going to be a problem going forward. Let's try to get some damage onto. I don't think we can kill this Krisk. Let's just see what happens. Okay, not even close. We still have one more champion left. Now, okay, this is where the revive comes in, why it's really strong here. If you don't want to use brakus, you can definitely use someone like a Troxa, which is who Mac-chan actually used in his video for that attack aura. So now we're going to revive them. We unlock the hidden skill as we saw from the text there. We strip the buffs, defense down. We can go ahead and it doesn't really matter who we target here. One of the benefits of having a red affinity champion with brakus and green affinity with someone like a Kaitis is going to be rather strong in the end, because they both share different strong and weak affinities. So let's see what Bleeding Wounds actually does to this team here as the hidden skill that was unlocked. So we do have Swift Parry there. We're going to heal ourselves now just to make sure we survive and we can hit auto, and that's going to be an awesome match there. So as you can see, the power of this team and what it can do is very strong here. Even though we didn't have a Lydia, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find a Lydia team after maybe 1 or 2 more examples. Then I'm going to show you the gear thresholds you're going to want to aim for, and this is going to apply not only in Platinum Arena, but in Gold, Silver, wherever you're at. I'm going to give you the speeds you need, the stats you need to survive in a setting like this. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and fight a team with the Lydia so you can kind of see the synergy and why this team works out so well. So let's give it a shot and see how we can do here. So their nuke hegemon's going to go first. It's going to kill everyone. Lydia's going to get a turn here, and this is why things work out so well. We just saw Lydia's passive deny the revive attempt on brakus. Now we're going to full revive our team. We're going to strip the debuffs here. We did get resisted by Duchess, and this is where it comes in handy to have someone like a brakus here, even though he has weak affinity. Hopefully this is enough damage to actually kill our targets. And one awesome thing about Kaitis, even though he's weak affinity to Erotos, he does hit twice. So 2 weak hits should still be enough, as we could see it was, to fully clear that team. And that's kind of how all of this synergizes together, and you can make an awesome team with these champions. Alright, so the first champion who we're really going to break down is going to be Cardinal. This is everything you need to know about Cardinal, since she is pretty much the only champion that you can't swap around or anyone else because of what she does and how strong her revive is. So as far as masteries go, there are 3 masteries you have to take when taking Cardinal. The first is going to be Cycle of Revenge. Even though it is RNG, any chance to increase that turn meter on getting a critical hit, which is more likely than not going to be the death condition of your 3 other champions, so it's really strong to have Cycle of Revenge to give you every possible benefit you can, or making sure Cardinal gets every chance to revive your team. The second mastery you want to take is in fact Spirit Haste. What this does, it increases speed by 8 for each dead ally, stacking up to 24, so obviously the benefit of that is clear. And the final talent that you're going to want to look at is going to be Timely Intervention. What this does, it increases the champion's turn meters by 20% whenever an ally hero drops below 25%. This happens per each ally, which makes this incredibly strong. So you're getting, in a sense, a 60% turn meter boost, pretty much guaranteeing you go first even against the fastest champions in this game. So now what everyone wants to know is, Murder, what speeds do I need as the player for my Cardinal to have if I want to make sure they're always going first after there is a wipe, especially if you're using it against someone like a Hegemon? Now this team isn't specific to Hegemon. You can definitely do a team like I've showed you where the Hegemon goes, doesn't kill your team, then you look for someone like a Trunda or a Androphyn to kill the remaining members of your team before you actually get the revive off. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to give you the speeds that you would need to cut off your team if there's an enemy Hegemon that one-shots everyone minus the Trunda, and that speed's still going to be just as strong for any other team you are facing. So what you're going to want to do is think about where you are in the arena and try to guess in your head what the average speeds are of the opponents you're facing. This is fairly easy to do if you do have all of your speed gear stacked onto one champion. If you're getting outsped, you can definitely look at the turn meters of the champions to kind of see how much further their turn meter is than yours when you start the match. That's a good way to gauge things as far as what speed am I facing on average in the arena. So if your enemies have 360 speed, you only need 240 speed on your Cardinal, assuming 2 of your allies minimum get reduced to that threshold or die to make sure Cardinal actually gets to go first with the masteries I just showed you. Now if all 3 of the allies on your team are killed, you only need 175 speed, but to be safe, I do want to emphasize the second threshold a lot more because you want to be safe just in case there's some unlucky RNG. So if you're facing 360 speed, you're more than likely in Platinum or higher, so 240 speed is going to be your goal. For my Cardinal specifically, I have her at 258 speed just because a lot of Hegemons aren't running 100% crit rate to counter a team like that. So even though they are able to counter it, the fact that I'm running slightly higher speed, it's really able to cut in on a lot of people's defenses because not a lot of people run a very fast champion with a defense like we're seeing with these damage dealing Hegemons. Now the second threshold is going to be for kind of the entrance to Plat and for a lot of gold for. We have 320 speed. So what kind of speed are you going to be looking for if you want to counter a 320 speed turn meter booster, it's going to be 203 speed, and it's going to be 125 speed if you can always guarantee all 3 of your allies are dying at the same time. Now the next threshold is going to be the lower half of gold 4, gold 3, so on and so forth. This is also 203 speed based on how things are scaling with the turn meter, and it's going to be 124 speed if 3 of your allies die. And when I do say the speed here, this also assumes that your enemies have a 30% speed aura on top of things. So if they don't have a speed aura, if they're just running, let's say, a Sifi, then these speeds will more than compensate for what you're trying to do here today. This now leads us to Cardinals Survivability. What can you do to make sure that Cardinal is surviving? You just have to keep in mind that when damage does go out, her turn meter's getting boosted so much, she's going to cut off a lot of people, kind of similar to how Valkyrie does. So you don't really need to worry too much about how much you have to survive. What I would recommend is, at the moment, all you need is about 4,000 defense and 70,000 health, which definitely is a lot, but this is to survive the best geared hegemon in the entire game. So gauging things off of that, if you're in gold 4 and you're trying to survive teams, you can easily get away with 50,000 health as well as 3,000 defense on your team. One strong point about Kaitis, he does have a 33% HP aura, but you have to use that with the huge disclaimer that make sure that this aura isn't making it so your other champions are in fact surviving. Now I highly recommend using immunity gear on Cardinal so she's not CC'd, and while immunity gear can be quite difficult to get, it's definitely strong that you have to consider Cardinal's A2. If not all of your champions do actually die, like I did show you in the video earlier, you have the ability to give her a defense up and a pretty strong heal to make sure you're surviving all the way through to the other rounds. The fact that there's no defense down actually landing on your Cardinal, you can even survive someone like a Trunda with a double hit on yourself simply by having defense up and by kind of gauging yourself off of the stats I've given you here as far as defense and survivability goes. Now the only threat to this team is a team that has someone like a Madame Ceres. You don't often see teams like that on defense because of Madame Ceres' AI. The other threat also is going to be any teams with a Warlord on it, because as soon as that Warlord uses that A3, the comp is no longer viable, and pretty much anyone that can strip the buff from your Cardinal, being that immunity, and then CCing your team. So those are teams you actually want to avoid hitting, where this strategy probably won't work unless you're building resistance, and adding another stat to build for this Cardinal strategy is going to be very difficult, so I highly recommend just avoiding those teams. Now as far as your options I'm replacing, you can literally use anyone you want in place of Kaitis. However, Kaitis is so strong because it gets that bonus directly from Cardinal, being revived, unlocking that hidden skill, and being able to just do incredible damage to the enemy team. This composition works with a Trunda, with someone like a Folly, anyone you can think of that does AoE damage. Build them with Savage gear, build them with as much attack as possible. Don't worry about your speed at all, but make sure they're not too tanky. I know some people probably won't run into that problem at all, building full damage and having them tanky at all, but make sure there's no HP rings. And what's really important is building a debuffer, especially like Madame Ceres, I struggled with a lot, because a lot of times when you're building accuracy gear, that could be on a piece of gear like gloves, for example, with 60% defense, 60% HP, which can definitely make it so they're not surviving. I personally don't run a neck or a ring on my Madame Ceres for this specific composition, and she's still surviving sometimes, so this is where your problem can be. If you want to use someone instead of Madame Ceres, you can actually use another damage dealer to increase your odds of killing the team, or you can use any defense down you can think of in this game. I recommend not using a defense-based champion for the following reason that I just said about them having a better chance of surviving any oncoming damage. So someone like a Tyrell is probably not ideal if you want to use him. However, a War Maiden's a perfect option, someone like a Ghostborn, so on and so forth. As far as the swapping character for someone like a brakus, as mentioned, Mac Chan in his video did use Krutroxa. She's probably going to be the best champion. Unfortunately, I don't have her on my account, but she's definitely going to be the best because of that attack aura she does provide for your team to ensure you're doing the most damage. You can use a brakus as I showed, and I'm not really sure of too many other champions that you can use. If there is a champion that applies revive on death as a passive, that's very strong as well. You can use that. Anything you can do to proc Lydia's passive to make sure Cardinal is going to be safe once she gets that revive out is going to be key here. One option you would have if you wanted to go this route is you can actually add someone like a Seeker to your team. Now this is something I thought about that would make it so you can build Cardinal with full resistance instead of immunity, or keep her in immunity. And what this does is it lets your team live when not fighting hegemon teams even better, applying that defense up as soon as your team gets hit for the first time, making sure that your team slowly dies, and Cardinal's always the last one standing. It also gives you a turn meter boost if you're unable to hit a solid amount of speed. With the survivability someone like a Cardinal will in fact need, and you also get a provoke from someone like a Seeker, or the possibility of targeting any of their enemy CCers or debuff shippers to CC them first and make sure your team is safe. And you will have more than enough damage by building 2 damage dealing champions to compensate without a Lydia when trying this strategy. Alright guys, just to end the video off in a nice way, hopefully you're going to fight this team and really take a gamble against this warlord here. Now if all things go according to plan, if they don't have immunity gear, we should be fine. So let's take a whirl at this and see if we can survive. Hopefully this damage dealing hegemon does a ton of damage and one-shots everyone. Absolutely perfect. As we can see, Cardinal's turn meter is so far above everyone else's turn meter, there's nothing to worry about with a triple proc with that timely intervention ability. Now we're going to simply revive our champions here, go ahead and strip these debuffs, and assuming there is no swift parry gear, the only one I think it would be on would be a warlord. Okay, so warlord's dead. Now game set match. Using this hidden skill A3, we only got 1 hit, so 150,000 damage. That would actually be hitting them twice. Insane amount of damage from this guy. So as we can see here, on top of the Cardinal strat, we're also showing off this awesome champion of Kaitis doing an absurd amount of damage. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I had a ton of fun doing this. Once again, huge shout out to Mac Chan for figuring out this iteration of how to deal with someone like a Lydia who is new to this awesome old school strategy that's been around for such a long time. Don't forget guys, if you enjoyed this content, subscribe, smash that like button, turn on the notification bell so you're notified when I upload next, and I will see you all in my next video.